In the black silence of space, a lonely human scout ship drifted between ruined stars and forgotten signals. The pilot, Connor, sat inside with half-open eyes and a worn-out heart. He was not on duty anymore, just drifting, away from orders. Away from people. His ship's AI blinked once, then twice, before speaking softly. Commander. Unknown transmission detected. Weak signal. Origin destroyed colony THAT-X9. Connor opened one eye, then both. THAT-X9's dead, he whispered. The colony had been wiped out 5 years ago during the final battles of the War of Beasts. No survivors were ever recorded. He almost told the ship to ignore it, but the sound coming through the comm froze him. It wasn't static. It wasn't a trap code. It was crying, small, soft, shaking voices. 2 of them, children. Connor sat up straight. Fingers flying over the control board, he boosted the signal and cleaned the noise. The crying grew clearer. Boy and a girl, both terrified, whispering for their mother. His ship AI warned again. Commander, highly likely to be bait. War beast nests were last located near that sector, but Connor's jaw locked. I don't care. He said, set course. The descent onto THAT-X9 was rough. Black smoke still rose from the ground. Even years later, ash covered the sky like a never-ending night. He landed the scout ship between cracked metal bones of destroyed towers. There were no birds, no wind, no sound. Next, except the faint cries again through his helmet. He walked through the ruins. Pulse rifle ready, footsteps silent, eyes alert. The buildings looked like they had been torn apart by claws, not bombs, scorch marks from plasma. Claw marks on steel, but no bodies, no bones, only dust and forgotten war. Then he heard it louder this time. A cry, a whisper. Help, please. Mommy's gone. Connor turned toward the sound, heart racing. He moved rubble, lifted a cracked beam, and found a small pocket beneath a collapsed wall. Inside, 2 tiny figures shivered, arms around each other, their alien eyes glowing faintly in the dark. A girl and a boy, barely 5 years old. Dust covered their skin, but they were breathing, alive. He dropped his rifle and pulled them out carefully. It's okay, he said, voice calm, but firm. I'm here, I'm human. The girl looked at him, scared, but not moving. The boy clung to her tighter. Then she whispered, don't make noise. The hungry ones will hear. Before Connor could ask, the ground shook. A low growl echoed through the empty streets. His instincts kicked in. He grabbed his rifle again and turned around fast. Out of the shadow, something moved. Long limbs, twisted spine, mouth with too many teeth. A war beast, but it wasn't alone. More appeared behind it, eyes glowing red in the smoke. 10, 20, 30 closing in from every direction. Connor stepped in front of the twins, raised his weapon. The AI spoke in his ear. This is suicide, Commander. He didn't answer. The girl cried, but softly. The boy whispered something in a strange tongue. Connor pushed them behind a broken wall and drew his side blade with his left hand. They're not getting you, he growled. Not while I'm breathing. The first monster lunged. He fired once direct hit. The beast fell. But more came right after. His blade slashed the air, cutting into raw muscle and bone. Blood sprayed. And Connor took a hit to the shoulder, but he didn't fall. Not yet. The kids watched from the dark. Silent, holding each other, the girl whispered again. Please. Don't let the monsters take us. Kona bled from 3 wounds now. Breathing hard, surrounded, but something inside him burned. He had seen death before. Had watched entire planets fall, but 2 crying children in the wreckage of a dead world, he would not let them die too. Not like this. He tightened his grip. Teeth clenched, the monsters roared, and Connor roared back. Connor stood over the twin children, his body shaking from blood loss, his mind locked in combat focus. Around him, the ruins of Theta-X9 groaned as more of the monsters came crawling from. The shadows, they were not just beasts, they were nightmares, born of war, twisted by ancient science, and left behind to rot and hunt. Their skin shimmered like oil, their eyes glowed like dying stars, their teeth clicked in hunger as they circled him. But Connor did not move back. He reached into his belt, pulled out a curved blade shaped from Earth's alloy and old fury. The pulse rifle was near empty, only one charge left. He waited until the closest one lunged with a scream that rattled the broken buildings. He ducked fast, slammed the blade upward through the creature's neck, and ripped it free with a sharp twist. The beast fell without sound. The rest howled and surged forward like a black tide. Connor grabbed the last pulse, round, slammed it into the rifle chamber, and fired at the largest creature with armored shoulders and spikes. The blue bolt hit its chest and burst into white flame. The blast sent smaller beasts flying, but more came from behind walls and broken glass. The girl screamed as one got close, but Connor leaped forward with his blade spinning. He cut through the monster's leg, then its jaw, then stabbed it between its eyes. The blade broke in his hand. He didn't stop moving. He picked up a broken steel rod from the rubble and swung with both hands, crushing skulls. He dodged teeth, missed claws, and took 3 more gashes across his arms and back. Blood poured down, but he didn't feel it. Not yet. The children were behind him. He would be the wall. He would be the storm. One of the creatures got past him. It crawled low, moved fast, toward the girl. The boy screamed and pushed her out of the way. The creature opened its mouth wide. Connor turned. He grabbed a shattered concrete slab and hurled it like a shield. It hit the creature mid-air, knocked it to the ground. Before it could rise, he jumped and smashed its head with the rod again and again until it stopped moving. Ground shook, not from the beasts, but from something bigger, far away. Something deep underground had awakened. The girl's eyes glowed again, her voice whispering strange syllables. Connor looked at her, confused. She placed her hand on the floor and whispered again. The stone lit up beneath her fingers, ancient symbols pulsing. Under the dust, Connor shouted over the growls. "What are you doing?" She answered without fear. "I'm calling Mother." Connor didn't know what that meant, but he saw the ground split open at the edges of the ruins. Old machines rose from the earth, tall towers with spinning cores and blue fire rising into the sky. The monsters stopped for a second. They looked around, unsure. The boy held his sister's hand, and together they whispered louder. Their voices echoed like song. Connor stood between them and the beasts, his vision blurring. The machines' activated turrets unfolded. Blue lasers began firing. One by one, the beasts were cut down by the ancient weapons. Connor watched, amazed, as the machines fought with precision. He fell to one knee, gripping his bleeding side. The battle had turned, but the pain was catching up. The children ran to him, their small hands pulling at his arms. "You saved us," the boy said. "No," Connor muttered. "Your song saved yourselves." The girl looked at the sky. "Not us," she said. Quietly, her above them, clouds began to swirl. Lightning cracked through space. A shape moved within the storm. A ship. It was like nothing Connor had ever seen. It shimmered like liquid crystal, hovered without sound, and began descending through the smoke. The girl whispered one word, "Mother." Connor stared. The beasts that still lived ran away into the shadows, as if they knew something terrible was coming. The ship landed without sound. Connor tried to stand. He gritted his teeth and used the steel rod to push himself up. The children ran toward the ship's light. And from that light stepped out a figure, tall, elegant, and with eyes full of fire and sorrow. The children screamed with joy and ran into her arms. Connor stood there, panting, broken. Confused, the woman looked up at him, her eyes locked with his, and in a voice that was not a whisper but a storm, she said, "You came for them. And now they are safe." Connor leaned against a shattered pillar, his breath coming hard and uneven. His armor was torn, his muscles screamed with every step, but his eyes stayed locked on the glowing ship. The alien woman held the twins close, her silver hair falling around them like a curtain. The storm above faded and the air turned still, but something deep inside the ground still hummed. Connor walked forward slowly, his boots crunching on broken glass and scorched stone. He didn't raise his weapon, he didn't ask questions, he only said one thing. "Who are you?" Woman looked up, her face calm and unreadable. "I am their mother," she said, "but not as you understand it." The girl turned around and walked up to Connor, her tiny fingers glowing faint blue. She reached for his hand and said quietly, "We're not just children. We were born from a song, not from a womb." Connor blinked, unsure what to say. The boy joined her and added, "We were made to open the ancient machine, but it hurt Mom, so she hid us." He looked up with sad eyes. She said, "No one would come if they knew what we were, but you came. You came alone." Connor stared at them, confused. "Your machines know." The girl shook her head. "We are keys. The machine was asleep for a long time, and we are its voice." Her hand brushed against the rubble, and ancient markings lit up beneath them. The machine below the colony stirred again, its deep pulse matching the twins' heartbeats. Woman stepped forward, her voice soft but powerful. "When the war ended, this planet was left to rot. But it holds something older than war, a prison, a vault. A secret meant to stay buried, but now that secret is waking." Connor tightened his grip on the steel rod. "You mean there's something worse than those monsters?" She nodded slowly. "Those creatures were nothing but caretakers, guardians of the lock, but the real terror is still below. The twins were never meant to be found. They were meant to stay hidden." But the signal they sent out, it was not a cry for help. It was the lock asking for a key. Connor stepped back, his stomach sinking. "You mean I was tricked?" "No, the woman said you were chosen." The boy walked up and pulled something from his pocket, a small crystal orb, no bigger than a fruit. He held it to Connor. "When you arrived, it started glowing. It has never done that before." Connor looked at it and saw his own reflection, but it was not human. It was him, surrounded by fire, holding the twins high above a dark storm. The girl whispered, "You're not just our rescuer, you're our catalyst." Suddenly, the ground shook again. A deep, echoing roar rose from the earth. The machines around the ruins began to shut down one by one. The sky darkened again, and from beneath the colony a deep crack opened. Connor grabbed the twins and pulled them close. "What now?" The woman turned toward the crack, her voice sharp. "The vault has awakened, and it knows the keys have been found." Sheet Ata looked at Connor. "You can still run, leave us, and forget this place, but if you stay, there's no going back." Warner looked at the twins. They stared at him without fear. Just hope. Hope that he would not leave them. Hope that he would fight. He stepped forward and handed the boy back the crystal. "Where does this go?" The boy pointed to the glowing stairs rising from the crack. "Down there." Connor took a breath and nodded. He turned to the woman. "Will you come with us?" "Okay." She looked at her children, then at the rising threat below. "I was built for war, but I chose peace now for them. I will fight again together." They moved toward the stairs that spiraled into the earth. The light faded. As they descended, the air grew cold and thick. Connor kept the children close. The hum of the vault grew louder with each step. Then they reached a door, old, massive, covered in alien writing. The twins stepped forward and placed their hands on it. The crystal orb hovered between them, glowing bright. The door began to open. A rush of hot wind blew out, and the sound of something breathing filled the chamber. Connor raised his weapon and stood in front of the children. No more running, no more hiding. Behind him, the vault opened wide. The heavy vault door groaned as it opened wide, its ancient metal shaking with age and power inside. A blinding light spilled out, not from fire, but from thousands of glowing strands, hanging like vines across the vast chamber. Connor stepped forward, his boots crunching against old glass and dust. The twins walked beside him, their eyes shining brighter with every step behind them. The alien mother followed her hand, ready to shield or strike. The chamber was alive. The walls pulsed softly with light in perfect rhythm with the children's breaths. Every hum echoed like a heartbeat. every flicker like a memory reawakening after centuries of silence. Connor turned slowly, trying to take it all in. "What is this place?" he whispered, his voice swallowed by the size of it. All the girl looked up her voice, almost singing, "It's the heart, the center of the song. The machine is waking, because we are here, because you are here too suddenly." The orb from before floated into the air, glowing blue and gold. It drifted upward and hovered at the very center of the chamber. As it spun, a soft vibration filled the air like a voice from a forgotten age trying to speak again. The boy stepped forward and began to hum, not words, not sounds any human could name, but a vibration that matched the chamber's pulse. The girl joined him, their tones merged into a melody that did not belong to this time or this world. The chamber lit up as if the song fed it. Life. Connor watched, stunned. He had seen warships crush moons. He had seen machines erase cities, but this was different. This was creation, not destruction. The vines hanging from the ceiling began to move. They untangled and descended, wrapping gently around the crystal orb. They pulled it deeper into the chamber toward what looked like a giant shell. Sealed in steel and symbols, the alien mother gasped. She knew what lay beneath it. "It's not just a machine," she said softly. "It's a seed, a memory of something old and terrible. A guardian and a prisoner." Both. Connor stepped closer, his weapon ready. "What happens if it wakes the twins?" Answered together. "It depends on what it hears when it opens its eyes." The floor began to shake. A circle opened beneath the orb, revealing a deep pit glowing with red light. From it rose a hum that felt wrong, twisted. Angry it was, answering the song, but not with music. With pain the girl screamed, "Something's trying to change the song, something broken, something angry." The boy held his head. "It's waking up wrong. It thinks we're enemies." Connor didn't hesitate. He stepped into the center and grabbed the orb from the vines. The song cut off everything, froze. The hum faded. He turned to the twins. "Can you fix it?" The girl shook her head. "Only if the song is right. Only if it knows we are family." "We are family." Connor looked around, his voice rising. "Then sing louder. Make it hear you, make it. Remember love, not war." The twins held hands and closed their eyes. They began to sing again, but this time it was different. This time it was not just alien tones, it was lullabies, heartbeats. The rhythm of a mother's touch and a father's promise. The chamber responded. The vines pulsed in soft colors. The walls shimmered with memories. The shell in the pit began to rise. It opened slowly like a flower. Inside floated a being, not quite alive, not quite machine. Its body was light and shadow both. Its eyes closed but trembling. Connor stepped forward, holding the orb out. He said nothing, only looked at the twins, who now sang a lullaby in his language, soft, human, hopeful. The being opened its eyes. They were endless and full of tears. The ground stilled, the air became warm. The song faded into peace. The alien mother knelt, her voice shaking. "The heart has chosen, it remembers. It sees us not as threats, but as lost children." Connor lowered the orb. The being floated toward him, and with a gentle touch, it pressed its hand against his chest. A warmth spread through him. Memories that weren't his, pain that wasn't his, but love, deep love. The light faded. The being returned to its shell. The chamber closed. The vines pulled back. The vault sealed again. The twins fell to their knees, exhausted. Connor caught them both. The mother walked over and placed her hands on their heads. They did what no weapon could. They healed a god's hearts. Connor looked back at the now silent door. He didn't understand everything, but he knew one thing. The planet was no longer a graveyard. It was breathing again. The vault sealed behind them, its glowing light slowly fading into the stone like a heartbeat. Returning to sleep, Connor held the twins close, his body aching, but his heart strangely calm. For the first time since landing on this cursed planet, he felt silence that wasn't full of fear. The alien mother stood nearby, her back to him, her silver hair waving in the soft wind that came from nowhere. She was staring at the sky, but not just looking, listening. Connor stepped beside her. You knew it was more than just a machine, didn't you? She didn't answer right away. Her eyes glowed faint as she whispered, I helped build it before I escaped, before I hid my children, before I became something more than a weapon. I was part of the mind that designed the vault. Connor's breath caught. You were one of them. She nodded, a general, an architect. A tool until I learned love. She turned and knelt beside the children. They had fallen asleep against each other, holding hands, their cheeks still glowing softly from the energy. They had given the vault. The girl's head rested on the boy's shoulder. And both of them looked peaceful, like war had never touched. Then Connor looked at the woman. Why hide them here? She placed a hand over her heart. Because they were not supposed to exist. They are not just keys. They are hope. My body was made to fight. But one day, something inside me changed. I found a man, a scientist, a dreamer, a human. And with him, I created them. Connor's heart skipped. You loved a human. She smiled for the first time. Yes, and for that love, I was marked for deletion. But I ran. And I hid our children here in a place where even gods would fear to look. She stood slowly. But now the vault is awake. And others will come. Connor turned toward the sky. Already a shadow was growing. Not natural, not right. It was a ship, massive, silent. Black as space itself, it hovered above the broken colony without a sound. And then it began to descend. The ground trembled. The machines around the ruins blinked in warning. The vault beneath them sealed tighter than before. It wanted no part of what was coming. The mother's face turned hard again. Her hands began to glow. Old symbols crawled across her arms and back. Battle code. Connor raised his weapon. What are we facing? She looked at him. Her voice steady. The ones who built me. The ones who wanted my children destroyed. A beam of light cracked the sky, and the black ship opened. Creatures stepped out, tall, metallic, no faces. Only glowing eyes and thin arms, ending in blades. They moved like smoke, like memories of war. Connor pulled the twins behind cover. He checked his rifle, 4 rounds, a broken blade, and one last breath. The mother walked forward alone. Her voice echoed without sound. You came to finish what you started. The enemy leader stepped into view. It was taller than all the rest. Its body made of shifting metal. Its voice cold as the vacuum between stars. The vault was meant to sleep forever. You broke the seal. Now we must burn this world to ash. Connor shouted. You'll have to go through Metha. Leader paused. You are irrelevant. You are weak. The mother raised her hand. He is more than you understand. He is human, and he chose to protect life. The twins woke, their eyes wide with fear, but then they stood and began to hum again, soft, fragile, but growing, the same lullaby from the vault, a song of love, a song of peace. The machines faltered. The invaders paused to their code, trembled at the sound. The mother smiled. It is too late. They have awakened something. Even your code cannot overwrite. Connor stepped beside her. Let's finish this together. The mother nodded. Then let us show them what happens when love becomes a weapon. The wind blew across the scorched colony ruins, carrying the sound of humming and metal blades sharpening in the distance. Connor stood with his feet planted firm in the dust, eyes locked on the wave of enemies marching from the dark ship above. He was one man alone, holding nothing but a cracked rifle and broken armor. Beside him stood the alien mother, tall and glowing like a weapon reborn. Behind them, the twins sang softly, their voices trembling but growing strong. Machines approached like a tide of steel, rows upon rows of them, gliding without sound, their red eyes locked on the twins. They carried no guns. They needed none. Their bodies were weapons. Their minds were cold programs with one goal: eradicate the anomaly. Connor whispered without looking. How many do you count? The mother's voice was calm, but sharp. More than 100, maybe 2. Connor took a deep breath. And here I thought I'd be the one monster slayer of the week. She looked at him with something like respect. You still can be if we survive. Suddenly, the enemy surged forward. The ground shook. The machines moved fast, too fast. Connor charged forward, yelling with everything he had. He swung a metal pipe he had sharpened into a blade. The first machine met him head-on. It raised a blade, he ducked low and slammed upward with full force. The metal cracked, sparks flew, the machine staggered another, lunged from the side. Connor spun, swung, blocked, but not fast enough. The blade cut into his shoulder, he roared and struck back. One machine down, two more came. The mother joined the fight, her arms glowing bright. She moved like light and shadow, striking without hesitation. Each wave of her hands sent pulses through the machines. Some froze, others exploded. She was a fury in silence. Connor fought beside her. His breath ragged, his wounds deep, but he would not stop. He remembered the crying voices that pulled him here. He remembered the hope in the twins' eyes. He remembered the sound of their song. He would not fall. Not here, not now. Behind them, the twins stood holding hands there. Humming grew louder. The song changed. It turned into a chant, a call, a signal to something ancient, and the ruins answered. Turrets hidden beneath rubble rose once more, firing beams of blue light at the advancing machines. Some were torn apart, others adapted, but every second bought by the song gave Connor and the mother another breath, another swing, another chance. One of the machines got close to the children, too close. It raised a claw, but before it could strike, Connor threw himself across the battlefield and tackled it. They crashed into the dust. The machine stabbed wildly. One blade pierced his side, another missed his throat by inches. Connor grabbed its head and slammed it again and again into the concrete until it stopped moving. He crawled to the children, blood pouring down his armor. "You all right?" they nodded. "Eyes wide, keep singing," he said. "Don't stop, no matter what." He turned back to the battle. The mother was being pushed back. The machines had adapted to her strikes. One caught her by the leg and slammed her into the ground. Another aimed for her head. Connor ran. He didn't think, he didn't plan, he just moved. He threw a broken panel at the machine's head. It turned. He tackled it, but this one was stronger. Rhett grabbed him by the throat, lifted him high. "You are alone. You are weak. You are human." Connor's vision blurred, but he smiled. "And that is why I win." He reached into his chest plate and pulled the last plasma cell. He slammed it into the machine's core. Bright light explosion. They both went down in smoke and fire. The twins screamed. The mother rose. Limping, she ran to where the smoke settled. There, in the dust, lay Connor, burned, bleeding alive. Barely. The machines began to retreat. The signal from the twins had reached something greater. From the skies above, new shapes appeared, ships with old marking symbols of peacekeepers from before the war. They answered the song. Connor blinked at the sky. "Looks like backup finally came." The mother knelt beside him, her voice trembling. "You stood where armies ran. You gave them time. You gave them life." He tried to laugh, but coughed instead. "They're worth it. The whole damn universe could burn, but not them." The battlefield grew quiet as the last enemy machine collapsed into the dust, its red eyes fading into darkness. Smoke drifted toward the broken towers, and the sky above shifted from angry gray to soft, pale blue. The ancient vault beneath the ground pulsed once more, then fell silent. The war on this forgotten world was ending, but Connor lay on his back, unmoving, his chest, armor shattered open, his breath shallow and fading. Alien mother knelt beside him, her hands glowing faint but weak from the energy she had already used. She touched his cheek and whispered his name. He opened his eyes, slowly blinking through the blur. "Did we win?" His voice was rough like gravel torn from the earth. Mother nodded slowly. "You saved them, and you saved me. You stood where thousands would not dare to stand." The twins ran to him, their small footsteps echoing in the ruined courtyard. They threw their arms around him, both crying harder than they ever had before. Connor smiled weakly and lifted a shaking hand to touch their heads. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe. That's all that matters." But the mother's face darkened. She placed her other hand on Connor's chest and felt the faint flicker of life struggling within him. His heartbeat was uneven, sliding toward darkness. She whispered to herself, "I don't have enough power. Not anymore, though." Twins heard her words, and their crying grew louder. The girl pressed her forehead to Connor's chest. The boy grabbed his hand. "Please don't leave. Please don't go." Connor tried to speak, tried to tell them not to cry, but the words caught in his throat. He felt a cold heaviness dragging him down, a silence deeper than space. He closed his eyes, preparing to let go. Then the ground glowed. Soft light bloomed beneath the twins' feet, the same symbols that had awakened the vault. The song, the ancient song, it was answering again. The twins looked at each other, their tears falling. Then they began to hum, soft, fragile, a broken lullaby, but filled with love. The chamber below heard them, the wind heard them, the planet heard them. Light rose around Connor, circling him in a warm spiral. The mother gasped. The mother gasped. The vault is responding. It is giving back what they gave. Connor opened his eyes again. The pain faded. Warmth spread across his chest. His heartbeat steadied. His breath grew deeper. Life was returning. The twins kept singing, their voices shaking but brave. The vault poured energy through the ground into Connor, repairing what had been broken, healing what should have killed him when the light faded. Connor sat up slowly, his eyes wide in disbelief. The mother placed a hand over her heart, tears running down her face. "Your courage awakened the heart of the planet, but their love saved your life." The twins threw themselves at him again, hugging him so tight he almost lost his breath. He wrapped his arms around them both. He didn't speak. He didn't need. Toa's soft cry echoed from the mother. Not a cry of pain, not fear, but a cry of gratitude so deep it shook him to his core. A cry filled with everything she could not say in words: praise, relief, love. Connor froze. He had heard screams of anger, cries of fear, but never a cry like this. It broke something inside him, something he had kept locked away for years, a wall built from loss and war and loneliness. The mother knelt before him, her forehead touching his knee. Her tears fell onto the cracked earth. "Thank you for saving my children, for saving me, for standing alone when no one else would stand." Connor swallowed hard, unable to speak. As emotion rose in his chest, like a wave, he placed a gentle hand on her shoulder and lifted her up. "Don't kneel, you're their mother. And you're not alone anymore." The sky above shimmered. Peacekeeper ships descended slowly, their lights warm, not threatening. A new chapter for the planet was beginning. The twins took Connor's hands. "Will you stay with us? Will you be our family?" Connor looked at them, then at the mother, then at the reborn planet around him. For the first time in years, he felt like he belonged, like he wasn't just fighting, but living. He nodded. "Yes, I'm not going anywhere." The mother smiled through tears, and the planet breathed anew. A world once dead, now singing again, because one human faced 100 monsters and chose love over fear.